Boom, boom, boom. Welcome to the Resilient Minds podcast. I'm sitting here with a dear friend, an amazing mentor, and man, I can't say anything but good things about this guy because he's just helped me change the trajectory of my life over the past 24 months. My good friend, Mr. Brian Donovan. So a little bit more about you. I just want to really quickly, just so those that don't know you, I want to talk about, what you do and, how you've been able to not only impact me, but, hundreds of other entrepreneurs out there. So I really want to talk. Brian is an operations and systems ninja. Okay. I won't even say expert. I would say ninja. Okay. So he's consulted over 100 entrepreneurs, build to scale to 7 figures and beyond. He's got airtight systems in place. He supports rapid growth. And I can tell you that you'll never meet a business strategist like this guy. Okay, he's effective. He's seriously knowledgeable. He has tons of experience of serving people in any freaking industry, selling any product, looking to reach any goal. And whether you're looking to literally win some of your hours back, generate more, time, freedom, and increase and generate to the next level in income, I'm telling you, this is your dude. This is your dude, and I'm very privileged to have learned literally everything that I know from this man and continue to flourish as a result of always being now, this is like, I love it because me and Brian now, we're like bros. We get to text each other all the time, and it only happened as a result of investing in myself. It only happened as a result of investing in myself. So Brian, thank you, brother. Thank you for everything.
Mr. Balance, thank you, Eric. Thank you for having me on the Resilient Minds podcast. Thank you for the listeners for tuning in. Again, you've hit the nail on the head, man. Really, how I sum it up is I like to work with high-level entrepreneurs and help them move from creating just an income stream or a high-paying manual labor job, even if it is an online business, to owning an asset. Right? To truly owning an asset. And really the approach that we may or may not get into today is it's not just about generating more revenue or more profits. You see it all the time, right? Where like there's screenshots of, oh, I made 100 grand this month or whatever, but that's revenue, right? That's top line revenue. It's not bottom line profit. Yep. And so like what I like to do at Leaders Create Leaders, what I like to do with my entrepreneurs that I work with is just not only reach new levels of profit, but also minimize the regrets that they have in their business for making the wrong turns, and also avoid the headaches in their business. Because making $50,000 this month and putting 30 grand in your pocket is a lot more fulfilling than running a business that's doing 80 grand in revenue and putting 10 grand in your pocket. Right? You're 100%. Probably doing, right? I mean, like you're probably doing 20, twice the amount of work, but you're actually making less money at the end of the day. And so,
nobody wants more work and less money.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's what we work on. It's like, how can we get the best of both worlds? And like, it's not just about money. It's not just about saving you time, but it's ultimately about having a high quality life experience at the end of the day.
And I think that you touched on it a couple times where and maybe, to the listeners that just know a little bit more about the speaking to, specifically to how that correlates with what you like to call, if I may add, the 4% rule.
Yeah. And so the 4% rule, I was just talking about this. It's something that it's a framework it's a philosophy for life. It's a framework for living. After reading hundreds and hundreds of personal development books over the course of the last decade, I've discovered that personal development can be boiled down to a single sentence. Personal development can be boiled down to doing the things you should be doing, and stopping doing the things that you shouldn't be doing. For example, I know I should be waking up at 6:30 a.m., right, to meditate. Right, my intuition, my soul, my inner voice is telling me that this is what needs to happen. And the more that I neglect, the more that I repress, the more that I suppress, the more that I ignore this inner voice that's giving me these signals to actually get started, telling me the things I should be doing, the more that I live a more unproductive life, a more unfulfilled life, a more unhappy life. But as soon as I start to make the conscious decision that I'm going to do the things that I know I should be doing, right, then I'm automatically closing the gap between who I am right now and who I want to become, right? Because a lot of people out there, they have this version of themselves, this ideal version of themselves that they want to become. They know they can see that person, except they're still the person that they are today. And so that gap between who you are right now and who you want to become, it starts to get closed. It starts to get smaller. You start to bridge that gap as soon as you start to do the things you know you should be doing, right? And that is the fundamental principle behind the 4% rule, which goes into mind, body, spirit, and service. You want to take a dive into that real quick? Does that make sense?
I love it. So when and before we get into the dive, I really want to, because it's so important, and I want everybody to understand that when it comes to the element of resilience, because we're on here, we're talking about the resilient mind, what it takes, how does it go, and this man is a gentleman and a scholar when it comes to this type of stuff, because what he discusses, is heavily, it's aligned with a lot of, my beliefs, what I've been, experiencing through Tony. But what's most important, Brian, is having that big element of mind, body, spirit, and service, like you said. So fundamentally, before you even go there, what is your X factor? What is your X factor? What's the big X?
Yeah. So for me, my big X factor is taking complex things and boiling them down into simple steps and a set of actions. That's my X factor.
Absolutely.
Right. And so, after taking my Strength Finder test, yes, I'm an achiever at heart. It's one of my number one strengths. I understand that. But I've been most inspired by the minds of like a Richard Branson or an Albert Einstein. Like Richard Branson talks about, complexity being your enemy, right? And Albert Einstein says, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result is insanity. Someone that I've been inspired by is Edward Deming. He talks about being a good person just in a bad system, right? And so what I've realized is that life is all systems, right? So you have your biological system, you have your nervous system, you have your psychological system. Like you as a human being are a system, right? Not only that, now you're in a nuclear system with your family, you're in a friendship system, your town is a system, your state's a system, your country, the country's a system, we have the education system. And in fact, we can go as meta as we live in a solar system, right? We can go as meta as that. And so everything is a system that we live in. And so in order to move up and level up in the direction of your dreams and the direction of your destiny, you want to understand the system that you're in. So your thoughts is a system, your beliefs are a system. And so in order to bridge that gap between who you are and who you want to become, you have to identify the systems in which are driving your life. For example, if I put myself in a system that reinforces healthy eating habits, right? If I put myself in a system that reinforces accountability so I can hit my business objectives, then I'm going to get there faster, with more clarity, with less, eliminating all the alternatives, making sure that I don't make the mistakes, right? Because most of us start off with this journey, right, Eric, and everyone that's listening, the quote is, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And then I always ask the question, well, what happens if you're headed in the wrong direction, right? And so you have to assess the systems that you're headed in, because they're going to drive the steps that you take in your life. They're going to ultimately drive whether you have success, or they're going to drive whether you achieve the outcomes and the results that you want a lot faster. And that's why the 4% rule framework is a system for personal development. It's a framework for ultimately, just to boil it down simply, because that's my X factor. That was the question you asked. Boil it down simply is, each one of us upgrade our operating system, our phone, every year, but we need to upgrade the operating system that we live by, right? I'm sure you've talked about this a dozen times before. However, most of us don't recognize that, we got to upgrade our beliefs, our thoughts, our feelings, our actions on a continuous basis to get the outcomes that we want. Does that make sense?
Yeah, man, getting the results, man, getting the results. And it's so important, right? Those beliefs are going to always manifest different actions, which at the end of the day, it's that map, right? Of really up leveling. And I think that what you touch on too is when it comes to, really boiling it down and making it simple. It's like that KISS method, right? Keep it simple, stupid, right? Keep it simple, stupid. And you are 100%. So now that we've determined your X factor and how you simplify it, what has that created, and how has that continued to fuel your big why, the big why factor?
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, how it was created? That's the question. How has that been like developed? How have I developed that over the time?
Yeah, so the X factor, the experience, the ability to be so simplifying in terms, how has that fueled your why factor?
Yeah.
The
So,
why behind everything you do.
like, my why is, I wrote my why down a while ago, and it still is to this day, to love and lead young entrepreneurs to inner and outer freedom. And so, like, I wrote that down in a book probably about a decade ago. And it's still been the same thing. I mean, again, it's to love and lead young entrepreneurs to inner and outer freedom. And so what I do now is I simplify the ways in which we can obtain inner freedom, meaning like less desires, less attachments, higher frequency, higher vibes, better thoughts, better beliefs, right? I simplify how we can achieve those things. And then I simplify on the outside, outer freedom. How do we get to financial freedom? How do we get to the 6-figure business? How do we get to the 7-figure business? How do we get to the 8-figure brand? And I simplify the set of steps there in order to create that fruitful online business. And so, my X factor being simplicity, my Y factor being, leading people to inner and outer freedom. I've now been able to simplify how do we actually achieve inner freedom, right? Through different modalities and methodologies. And how do we do the same for outer freedom, achieving financial abundance, achieving prosperity, ultimately, Eric, moving from scarcity to abundance to prosperity,
Yes, I love it. The resilience roadmap. The resilience roadmap. Scarcity to abundance. Woo! I love it. I love it. That's just so you guys know. That's like the roadmap. I love it. It's so empowering, and I always talk about it. And so now that Brian's sharing it, I love it. That makes me happy.
It's the truth, though. For real, most people get stuck and they're struggling. It's always like, you have this vision of reality and how it can be, and they have these beliefs in powerlessness and scarcity. Like, if you have these scarcity mindset, but you want to live an abundant life, it doesn't match up. And so you always stay in this really weird spot where you feel like you're being pulled apart. And your heart wants to go one way, your head's saying to go another, and you're not in alignment. And so as soon as we can close that gap in alignment, the faster it is that we can actually create the reality that we want to have.
I love it. And, 100%. I think that's now really an amazing kind of way to pivot and turn into, okay, the basic fundamentals of how you're building these amazing businesses. It comes down to that mindset, right? So when it comes, what with regards to mindset, what really started you? What got you excited about, taking that leap of like getting, obviously you said you're an achiever, right? So having the achievement of wanting to be excited about what's next, but like, what wanted you to really dive deep into that, to know that is what needs to be the fundamental foundation for any successful business owner?
There's a variety of variables that have contributed to me going down this path. The one that comes up the most for me right now is like, going way back in my story of how I kind of got started was, I grew up and I saw my father be an incredible entrepreneur. And so he was, he had, some of the biggest warehouses in my town that I grew up in. And I watched him provide for my family a life that I just never could have imagined. That I imagine now I want to provide for my family in the future. And I actually watched him in the last recession actually lose just about everything. And I watched him get into a state of mind where he was so dark, so depressed, so not himself that I couldn't even recognize him. And so, and I was about 12 at this time. And so at about 12, I was like, you know what, I'm going to go and go to work. And so I went to work. And so I started, creating an income for myself. And a few years go by, my dad gets back on his feet. My mom's a freaking angel and made sure that, we didn't lose the house and everything was like, all tied together, and took care of my dad. But I really made a decision that I never want to see someone close to me sad like that, like my dad, ever again. I never want to see anyone sad. I never want to see anyone struggling. And so at 15, I got introduced to network marketing. And there I got to see that the 20-something-year-olds that were driving the cool car, making the income I wanted to make, were saying to read books and do personal growth. And I was like, if these guys are saying they wish they were 15, they can go back 10 years and read books. I was like, this must be something of value. So I started off with the typical Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Business of the 21st Century, the ones at 0 to 1.
Classics.
The classics. Yeah. So you read the classics, and then I got hooked. Yeah. And I did it because, one, I saw that Jim Rohn, right? When I first heard of Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins' mentor, I was like, you know what? He says that formal education can make you a living, but self-education can make you a fortune. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to self-educate. And I remember telling my mom that I'm never going to have a job at 15. I remember telling my mom, she was like, you're crazy, but I was so open-minded, so growth-minded, because I was reading all of these books and surrounding myself with the right people and the right system. And ultimately, like, my bank account security question to this day is, what's your dream job? And it says no job, right? So like to this day, no job is my one of my passcodes into my bank account. And I'm like, you know what? I am going to continue to work on myself, develop myself. So I embarked on this journey of just educating myself. And on this path, I realized I really do enjoy working with other people on their mind, their body, their spirit, and their service. And again, the universe will reward to you on your path when you step into your genius with boldness, and when you step into your power with full conviction that you can serve, and full certainty and full confidence, and you show up this way, and people will ultimately, the places, the opportunities are going to get attracted into your life, especially if you read the right books. Right? I read the right books like The Power of Awareness, or The Master Key System, or the Science of Getting Rich, or some of these books that just like open up your mind to these possibilities that, heck, I am the creator of my reality. Like, genuinely, yes. I create from the inside out. And so I started doing this a lot. And so I ended up getting put on this path of spending very little time in college after I dropped out, and ultimately, starting a digital agency, growing it in 3 months to $47,000 with a small team, then getting acqui-hired by my now business partner, Gerard Adams, after watching one of his videos on YouTube where he was calling all leaders. And on this path, I just knew when I wrote down my why that I would be serving people in this capacity. I've always felt a calling to be in the personal development space. And, I haven't fully became like a speaker or anything of those sort. Like, I do speak at events, and I do it at masterminds and small circles and stuff like that for a very high price point behind the scenes. But right now it's particularly just on systems and online businesses, but where my vision will be and who I will become is that particular coach in the personal development space, because I've been studying mindset for a decade now. I'm almost 25. I've been studying since I was 15. I had that life event that put me on this path to begin with. And I've dealt with all sorts of people that have come into my life.
And really, I think that's really fascinating. And I don't mean to interrupt, but I want to just really touch point so everybody really understands, is that, you're 25 years old and you have so much knowledge already behind you, and your future is so bright. And I think that, it's so important that everybody really takes notice of what is possible, right? People, because I can hear people, in the past, I've heard people say, those people, they're 21 or 22 or 23 or 24, they don't know anything. They haven't experienced life yet, right? Sure. And I think that's, those objections they don't come to fruition, because at the end of the day, what's most important is what we're putting into ourselves. And, you know,
Yeah.
you've read hundreds of books.
If you look
know?
at it this way, man, look at it this way, like Alexander the Great, a Roman conqueror,
Boom.
at 19 years old, was conquering entire countries and building them into his empire. Alan Watts, one of the most foremost futuristic thinkers, when he was 24, was teaching philosophies of eternity to the world.
Tony Robbins.
Yeah, you know.
Right?
So like I've been in these situations where I've been in boardrooms with higher level executives that are running companies, or I've been in boardrooms with, you know, college professors that are running colleges. I've been, when I was 20 and 21, I got put into these positions, and they're like, who is this kid? But like, it's, again, the beauty of the time that we live in is information is practically decentralized. And if you become a master researcher and you invest in surrounding yourself with the right people like Eric, or people like that we work with, like if you invest in yourself and getting access to that information, it cuts the learning curve in half. And so then you just
100%.
you get closer and closer to understanding more and more of the steps, and it's just more and more awareness. And so like, I'm all about, you know,
it's like Tony says, he says people right now are drowning in information, but starving for wisdom.
Yeah.
Starving.
Yeah. And it's like everybody wants to be in the spotlight these days, but nobody has the substance because they haven't actually done it. They haven't actually stopped to do the deep work and do the studying, you know, and hold themselves to a standard, or put themselves in a system where they can learn the skills so that they can, there's no shortcuts, but holy smokes, there's a lot of paths. There's a lot of mistakes you can avoid by just having the right information and the right mentors. And that's what I credit it to. I mean, I've had tons of mentors. Best mentors are like Gerard Adams. The best mentors are like a Ryan Blair. The best mentors that I've had, I've surrounded myself with people for, you know, 5 years now, hundreds of mentors. You know, I used to invite them into my office and they would coach our startups and our accelerator. And so ultimately now I'm on this path where, you know, I'm on this path of rapid growth and trying to take as many people, like trying to create as many other leaders on the path. You know what I mean?
Boom, and you are, man, and you are, and it's amazing to watch, right? So describe the process behind that. Like, describe the process behind, you know, how, if you can go into a little bit of depth of, you know, what does that process look like to, you know, creating the ultimate leaders?
Yeah. So, you know, what I'll do is I'll take this opportunity to talk about the, you know, the 4% rule a little bit more.
Please. Yeah. Yes.
Break down
Boom.
on it, which is like mind, body, spirit, service, right? So mind is broken up into two parts. It's broken up into beliefs and who you're becoming. Body is broken up into two parts. It's broken up into energize and exercise. Soul or spirit is broken up into grounding and gratitude. And service is broken up into two parts, appreciation and actions. And so if we start at the top with mind, again, it gets to your beliefs. And your beliefs you can identify if you just take out a piece of paper and you write down beliefs at the top and you just write down I am, people are, and life is, right? I am a successful entrepreneur. People are amazing and they have my back, and life is abundant. You start to see what your beliefs are. Some people will write down, I am not deserving, or I am a failure. People are ruthless. People are mean. People are backstabbers. Life is scarce. Life is a battle. Life is do or die. And you start to see kind of the reality in which you're creating based off of the beliefs that you write down on a single sheet of paper. So I ask you to consider the possibility that you're creating your life through the beliefs that you have about yourself, about people, and about the world. And in my experience, when you get down to the root of it, these are the very beliefs that are keeping you back from becoming, right? That's the next part, becoming the person that you want to be. So beliefs and becoming. So who do you want to become? What do you want to do? What do you want to have, right? You have a vision board behind you. I have a vision board on my computer here. Who do you want to become? What's your vision board look like, right? What does that look like? What does that life look like? What do you want to do? What do you want to have? Who do you want to be? What do you want to do? What do you want to have, right? And so you get clear on what your beliefs are, who you're becoming. That's mind. Body, it's asking you about energizing and exercising. So did you energize today? Simply is like, did you have a green shake today? Or did you have a green juice? Something, did you eat to energize is the question, or did you eat for fun, right? Eating for fun is having the donut. Eating to energize is choosing the salad, right? It's as simple as that. Did I eat to fuel? Because you got to have energy, especially as an entrepreneur. The next thing is did you exercise? And I don't give a shit if you are the laziest person, you can go for a walk. Like, that's the simplest thing. So do exercise today. Small walk, 100 push-ups, burpees, jump rope, weights, HIIT, CrossFit, whatever is your jam. Did you exercise today? Right? You got to exercise every day. The next thing is soul, right? Or spirit, grounding. Man, we love these modalities. You and I love these things. Grounding is all about, you have three choices. You can either do sound healing, breath work, or meditation. And so you got to pick one and do it every day. Every day I meditate. Every week I do breath work. Every week I do sound healing, right? And then gratitude, every single morning, write down 3 things you're grateful for. I am grateful for Eric Balance bringing me on the Resilience Minds podcast. I am grateful for Leaders Create Leaders. I am grateful for my family, right? And so those are the things that you write down every morning. And then the next thing is service, appreciation. So appreciating 3 people, because what you appreciate appreciates. So you appreciate 3 people through the day. So I appreciate Eric Balance. I appreciate my mom. I appreciate, my business partner, right? And I let them know. And the last thing is 3 actions in service. So you got to write down, what are the 3 actions that you're going to take today to move the needle forward in the way that you serve, right? Are you going to write the email? Are you going to make the post? Are you going to launch the podcast? What are the actions that you're going to take? So if you boil it down, this is, each area is worth 1%, right? Mind's worth 1, body's worth 1, spirit's worth 1, and service is worth 1. And it just so happens that, most people are only getting 1% better every day. Most people are just focused on service. They're just focused on business, right? Or they're just focused on spirit, or they're just focused on body, or they're just focused on mind. Let me tell you, if you focus on getting 1% better in each area of these lives, you get 4% better every single day. And the process compounds. And so you want to spend time, focus on these areas of life, and you want to spend time, because these are the principles, these are the core pillars that you build a high-powered, profitable business off of. Like you can't create the life that you want to create if you don't have these pillars in place. And so these are like, if you think about, Rome, again, Rome wasn't built in a day, but again, you can work on these pillars every single day. You can work on getting 1% better in the 4 core pillars of life. And let me tell you, you work on these things every day. It's as simple as that. If you do those 8 things every day, right? Beliefs and becoming in mind, eating to energize, exercising in body, making sure that you're grounding and putting in gratitude and soul, make sure you're appreciating and taking action in service. I can guarantee you, your life will be fundamentally different in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 180 days, 365 days. You will end up in a drastically different place. The trajectory, because like where you are right now is not who you are, right? Yeah. And no, you can't change the destination overnight, but you can change the direction overnight, right? And if you want different results, you better start implementing different rituals that you repeat on a daily basis, right? Because we all know that it takes roughly 66 plus days to create a habit. Right now, we ask you to start implementing these things that we talked about on today's podcast into your life and do it for 66 plus days. And if you do it for 90 plus days, great. But watch how your life, watch how your skin, your eyes, your soul, your energy, your smile, even your happiness, not only like your bank account, but like the things that also really matter. Watch how they also grow as you become more aware and more conscious of the things that you're doing on a daily basis. It's as simple as that. This is a framework for living. It's a philosophy for life. It's very simple. It's only 8 things that you got to do on a daily basis. And it's crazy enough that I can actually say that I bet you most people can get this done before 8 a.m. You could probably get this done. Like you could get this done between, if you wanted to, if you really genuinely wanted to, you can get this done. I do this before 8 a.m. every day. I can get this done. I know if I wake up at 6:30, I know I can have all 8 of these actions done by 8 a.m. And so I believe that you can do these core 4 pillars, and you can execute them because it's simple. Everyone overcomplicates it. Again, remember how simple is my superpower and my X factor? It's as simple as that. This is a system. There's a system for success.
Yes. So tell me again, just so for anybody listening that missed it, the eight steps that they can do before 8 a.m. What are they?
Mind, which is beliefs, right? Working on your beliefs, simply writing down affirmations every day. Write down a few affirmations about yourself. The next is who you're becoming. Look at your vision board every day. visualize who you're becoming, imagine who you're becoming, see that, feel that, right? Body, energizing, green juice, green shake, one of those choices, right? Exercise, simply walking, simply walking or doing push-ups or something like that, right? Exercise. Spirit, grounding, meditation, breath work, or sound healing. So you're getting grounded, right? And then gratitude, write down 3 things you're grateful for. And then for service, it's about appreciation and action. So before 8 a.m., you could appreciate 3 people. You can appreciate 2 people on your team. You can appreciate 3 people on your team if you want. You can appreciate a client and 2 other people. You can just send a quick message and just say, I appreciate you for working with me. I appreciate you for being on my team. Everything that you want to do, you can just send appreciation to these people. And then action. Write down 3 actions that you can take before 8 a.m. Simply, it could be writing down your goals for the day. It could be getting back to that client that responded to you. It could be, launching that email. And so those are the 8 things that you can do before 8 a.m. And that's how you get 4% better and ultimately compound your change. Like Albert Einstein said, like, compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. Watch as these things compound over time, what happens to your life. It's going to be fundamentally different.
And these are something that have compounded like in massive ways in your own experience, right? In your own work, and it really comes down to building value, right? Building values. And so how do these values how do these values consistently show up in the work that you do with your clients?
So like the pillars here, like, is mandatory for our clients to have. Like, this is a philosophy for building business. And so, like, we are very strict, and we're going to be very strict on with our clients. If you don't actually hit these things on a daily basis, we're not going to work with you. Like, we're not going to help you build your business, because we absolutely know, we have the philosophy that you have to improve the leader to improve the business. We genuinely believe that you actually have to work on yourself first before you can go and work on a business, because business is just an external representation of your internal world, right? It's just an external creation of your internal ability to process, your capacity to think and problem solve. It's all, like, if you make a lot of excuses and you complain a lot and you can't think clearly or problem solve or make great decisions or choices or commitments, like, if we can't get you into that place, right, then no amount of systems that I give you and online is going to matter, because you're not going to be in a position to contribute your highest and best self to your clients and to the business itself. So we work on you, and, like, it's working on yourself. Like, before I did anything in business, I spent 5 years working on myself, 5 years. And then now it's like, okay, now the last 5 years I'm spending on business, and I won't stop. It's just a continuous improvement with heart, though. You have to do it with heart every day.
Consistent and never-ending improvement, Mr. Tony Robbins always says.
Yes.
I love it. I think it's so impactful. So, this is, and I really think, because you have tons of great ideas, and I'm certain, this is something that so many are curious to know. Where do you get some of your best ideas, Mr. Donovan?
So I really do believe reading is like having a conversation with a great mind. And so a lot of my ideas come from synthesizing information from a variety of different resources. So I absolutely consider myself a master researcher, and I try to do my best to spend an hour every day, if not more, much more on weekends, doing research and studying topics that interest me, that pull on my curiosity, that energize me. And so, like, I've broken down, I've broken like 2 things that I focus on, like, on who I'm becoming. I have a specific set of skills that I want to learn. There's about 12 of them. And there's, like, a specific set of things that I want to study. Right. And so whether it's, like, war or philosophy or online business systems or critical thinking or whatever that is, like whatever inspires my train of thought, I will go and study, and I'll study it for hours until I can try to comprehend it better than I did before when I started. And so I get a lot of my ideas from synthesizing from from all different walks of life. Like I may get an idea of how to improve business, right? From a, a question that gets asked about how much, like, I might improve business by saying, hey, you need more sleep. And I learned that about nutrition. You might like that, these things that it's like this cross-pollination of idea is really, and so it's, you know what I mean?
It's funny because like you genuinely are, it's there's so many leaders and entrepreneurs out there that say the same thing. And I stress this all the time is like, how much are you researching about, your market? How much are you researching about your business? How much are you researching about the things that you're already an expert at and seeing what somebody else is doing just to see if maybe there's a trend or a commonality or something that you can find a unique difference. And coming really back to that whole element, those pillars, really, at the end of the day, it's so much of that resilience in each percent, right? It's a persistent element of resilience being put. And I love it because it just ties so much in with that big, turning your X factor into your Y factor. And I just love the cross pollination and it really how it connects. So, so tell me this, you've given, us a real, clear path to success. A lot of the listeners are looking for a lot of, paths, right? They're looking for a path to success. What would you say is one reason why people fail with this, with following a path like this?
One reason why people fail, they probably wait, to get started. And so like success is usually determined by doing things out of vision, not out of circumstance. So a lot of people wait until the circumstances are right in order to take their necessary action, rather than like taking the action now, right, and doing it out of vision of who you want to become. Most people fail because they like just have a fundamentally flawed view of failure. Like most people think failure is like one direction, like left, and success is right. But in the way I believe it is that you have to go through failure to get success, right? So you have to go through one failure after another in order to get success. It's not one direction or the other. It's not up or down, left or right? It's one after the other. And success is just that succession of overcoming enough failures over time until you reach that level of whatever material wealth or relationship capital or experiences in your life that you want to achieve. And so people fail because they don't, a lot of the things is in life, it's simply, you can look anywhere in your life right now and you can ask yourself, like, most people have made a choice. For example, let's just take eating healthy. It's the simplest example. They've made a choice to eat healthy, but they haven't made a commitment to eating healthy. And so like wherever you're unhappy in your life or wherever you're not seeing progress, it's probably because you've made a choice, but not a commitment. And you haven't held yourself to that level of standards of commitment. And it's like, a lot of people just need to stop doing a lot of shit. And so like, you just got to create a stop doing list. Take out a pen and paper. What are all the things you got to stop doing in your life right now? Right. And it's like, it's as simple as that, right? We just say, okay, you know what? I don't have to go and read 20 books to go and figure that out. Brian just told you, just make it a stop doing list. And on that list, you just stop everything, that's just not serving you and helping you unlock that next level of potential. I think that's why people fail. I think people have shiny object syndrome. I think that people jump from one thing to the next with a lot of distractions. I think people get overwhelmed very easily. I think that a lot of people haven't worked on their beliefs enough about themselves, and they play victim mindset all the time, where life is happening to them, not for them. And so it's fundamentally, the paradigm shift that I've had to make is that ultimately there's no problems in life. You just need a different perspective. And so
Yeah. Wow.
you just need another way of looking at it. You know, you just like, because we live in this dualistic world where there is a yes and a no, a positive and a negative, an up and a down, right? So if there is a problem, there is a solution. Like this world is very, very binary in a lot of the things that happen. So we just have to know that for every problem that you have in your life, for every challenge you have in life, there is an outcome, there is a different perspective, a different way of looking at it. And that's why you listen to podcasts like this, hoping to have that perspective shift so that you can in order to make more progress. And so I just, I ask you to just get clear on, how are you spending your time? What are the goals you have? How are you planning? Right? There's a series of things that you can do that aren't very complicated, but are just, boring at the end of the day, but lead to success. Warren Buffett says, you don't need to be an extraordinary person to reach success. You need to be an ordinary person doing extraordinary things. And so you just got to just keep doing some of these things, right? You got to focus. Man. You really got to focus. You got to commit.
And those positive habits, right? Those positive habits that we have to implement consistently, right? It's like, when we started, how much were you able to help with like planning, right? You just touched on planning, which I think that this is really important. Like, creating a planning method that works for you, right? Because one person's going to learn differently than another. And, one person's going to, it's the visual, it's the auditory, it's the kinesthetic focal point, right? So what works for me may not necessarily work for you, but having, and describing a planning method that specifically works for your understanding or your method of learning.
Yeah. And you want to, you always want to plan daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly. Like you want to have a plan for today, a plan for this week, a plan for this month, a plan for this next 90 days. And you want to make sure that the actions that you're taking are leading to the outcomes that you want. And so if you're not getting that, then you got to course correct, right? You got to self-reflect. You got to contemplate. You got to say, hey, what is it that I'm doing that's not leading to this outcome? And it's very simple. Your behaviors will tell the truth for you at the end of the day. And so, you look at it and you're like, that's it. Like all you have to do, Eric, to know where someone's going to end up in 30 days is just look at what they do on a daily basis. What are their behaviors every day? Yep. Do they stay in bed? Do they snooze the alarm, right? Or do they have a time blocked schedule, right? Are they delegating in their business? What are they doing? What's their behaviors? Are they eating healthy? Are they following the core 4 pillars of life? Like, are they doing those 8 actions every day? Right? It's not, Jim Rohn would say, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. I'm like, show me your behaviors and I'll show you where you're going to end up. That'll be your future. And so ultimately you got to change your behaviors. And it's fundamentally it's that. And it's, if you don't want to do all this work, great. You can go and do something else and just ignore the work, because it takes resilience. It takes doing the hard work. It takes doing the effing work. It's that age-old principle. It's called doing the fucking work.
And I love it.
For everywhere. It's going to be around forever, man.
And I think that it's, touching on failure and the resilience side of things is how many times do you need to fall flat on your face to continue moving forward? Really at the end of the day, are you going to create the resilience in yourself it doesn't matter how many freaking times I fall flat on my face, I'm going to get up and I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going because I have this passion, this determination, this ability of seeing that vision and becoming the human, the potential, the opportunity of what I know that's deep ingrained inside of me, and continuing to push it forward. It's inside of you, like you said.
I mean, I admire the people that go through adversity to achieve things. It's just the best thing to watch, the Rocky type of story, the people that go from rock bottom to, rock star kind of thing. It's you are going to be challenged. Like entrepreneurship is like volunteering to go through hell. You're like, hey, pick me. I want to go through the hardest possible thing on planet Earth. But I wouldn't have any other way. I don't want to belong to a corporate system that I'm not selling my soul there to, get a salary check. I'm at the end of the day, I'm like, screw it. I don't want the safety and security. I want the risk. I want to make a dent in the universe. I want to be different. And in fact, if everything goes to fail, then I'm going to go be a yoga teacher in Bali or something and not give a shit about how much money I make.
Bali's beautiful. I love it.
I don't really care about that stuff anyway. I care about, I know, right? It's like, I care about like living a holistic life where I'm like tuned into my soul. I'm living from a place of truth. I'm living from a place of alignment with my chakras. I'm living from a place of like, you know what, this is where I really truly want to create from, and I want to do it with cool people, and I want to build a damn cool conscious company, and I want to do it with people that I like. And that's
consciousness business.
Yeah, that's exactly it, man.
Exactly Dude, it. And I have to say, at the end of the day, it's fascinating how many more of us now are coming around and focusing on that conscious element of entrepreneurship, and how we continue to like you and Gerard say, leaders create leaders, right? It's so fascinating, and it really comes from so much down behind that, even, right? Like Tony and Ivan Pavlov and Marcus Aurelius, like it's all about continuing to push the leadership spectrum, right? And it's so important to continue to do that. So I want to really respect and get excited about what else is in store for you. So before we wrap it up, I want to get clear of if anybody is looking to find out more about you, about what you're doing, how to connect, what, where, when, and how, and of course, and for those of you that are driving right now or listening or on the walk, this will be in the show notes as well.
Yeah, easiest way is probably you could reach out to Eric, and Eric will connect you with me if you're driving. But if you want to reach out to me directly, you can go and look me up on Instagram, Brian Donovan, at Brian Donovan _ on Instagram.
Beautiful.
You can connect with me there, and I will answer every DM that comes into my inbox.
Beautiful, bro. And one last thing too, I want to ask you a question, because I ask everybody this question. If you had 3 days to live, what would you do?
That's it? What would I do?
Yeah.
If I had 3 days to live?
Yeah.
If I had 3 days to live, what would I do? It's such a fun question. What would I do? I would go and play the top 3 golf courses in the world. I'd probably go and play Pebble Beach, St. Andrews, and Augusta in the mornings with my dad. And then I would go and hang out on the beach on the afternoon with my mom. And then I would go and eat a pizza with my one little brother. And then I would go and probably get drunk with my other brother.
I love it.
If I had 3 days to live, that'd probably be the answer. And I would wake up and do it every day, because that would be the funnest thing in the world. That would be my ideal day. So it would be golf, beach, eating food, and drinking with my family, all with my family. So there you
go. And it talks a lot about the principles, right? The family behind you is it's I always love asking a question. It really determines, it's a way that, what's close to your heart. And clearly family is, bro. And I just want to say thank you so much for being on the show, bro. I feel like you're family to me, man. You've been like a brother to me for the past 2 years, bro. Absolutely. And I just appreciate you so freaking much. So is there also, with one last thing, is there any insights, any comments, anything that you want to just leave the listeners with, or the viewers that are watching on YouTube?
Go and share this podcast. Keep supporting Mr. Eric Balance. Make sure that you're sharing this on his Instagram, sharing it, tagging him on Instagram. He's got a huge heart. He is an incredible leader. I'm really grateful for him for putting this together and getting some incredible people on the show. He's not asking for anything from you, just for your support to keep listening and sharing this podcast with as many people as you possibly can. And so keep following the journey and keep working with Mr. Eric Balance. He's a great human being, and he's going to continue to serve and impact hundreds of thousands of people. So I love you, bro.
I love you, bro. Thank you so much, bro.
Thank you.